Welcome to the Evening Gamer. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Guy. Welcome, everybody.
I hope the audio is good this week.
Oh, we've got it down. That was
6 sound checks later.
Yeah, we've got it figured out. And we got a hell of an episode today.
We have so much to talk about,
We've got a fair bit to cover off. We got a bit of a correction from last week. We're going to re-review Wukong.
That's it.
We're going to talk some just general gaming news and what's going on around the traps. I feel like it's been a little while since we've sort of done a bit of an update in that regard. And then T's going to hit us with Doom the Dark Ages review.
Doom the Dark Ages, baby girl. Let's go.
And I will do my best not to disagree with him throughout that review because I know we're maybe on opposite sides of the coin. And
I don't know. You might be
know.
surprised.
Well, I look forward to it.
I do typically enjoy these games. And
you do.
I'm not. I won't talk too much about it, but this one will be very different to Eternal because it's a very different game.
True, it is. It is very true. Let's start with the correction. That's usually where we commence.
Let's do the corrections.
Aside
I don't have one.
The blatantly obvious recording gaffe that we had, the correction I had was I think I missed the weapons director. Was not. I think I said it was Ryan Coogler, but it's actually Zach Krieger. My apologies. And Ryan Coogler is actually the director of Sinners. Oddly enough, have you seen Sinners?
Yeah, I've seen Sinners.
Yeah, nice, good movie. And just on Zach Krieger, because I've now sort of, having watched Weapons, gotten into it a little bit, and I know you have as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what his next movie is?
No.
Resident Evil.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be good.
I
love that that's still kicking on.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil just reminds me of gaming during my childhood. That, and I think I've said this a few times, but the Tomb Raiders, the original Tomb Raiders on PS2.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to go the original movies.
No. That's just like gaming.
So I'm pretty sure just about every guy around our age group remembers good old, what's her name? Jesus.
Oh, see, this is the problem with Resident Evil. I always get confused between...
John Voight's daughter. What's her name? God damn.
I always get confused between Resident Evil and Daredevil.
Oh. No,
the superhero one. I don't know why.
Oh, that's an interesting switch up.
And there's Constantine. They're all so...
What's the name of the chick who dated...
Jennifer...
whatever.
God. This is why we get so excited about talking about the movies and the games that we've played that we completely neglect to look up the actors.
Very true,
and that's why we're doing a correction about the fucking director.
That's right. It's necessary. And you saw Barbarians?
I saw Barbarians ages ago, but I actually did remember my corrections just then.
Oh, yeah?
You said that Weapons was your best movie you've seen in the past year.
Oh, yeah.
Second to, or maybe just eclipsed by June.
Yeah.
That came out in 2024. I was right.
Yeah, right.
That was a 2024 film.
God, I'm trying to think of what other movies I've seen this year. Well, I mean, there's Sinners, there's Fantastic Four, there's been a bunch I've seen in the cinemas this year.
Oh, no, I haven't seen Sinners, sorry.
No, okay. You should check it out. Yeah. It's not bad. But no, Weapons. All right,
that's the Michael B.
Weapons
Jordan.
top spot then.
Yeah, it is.
Takes top spot.
It is. That's the Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, where he plays the twin dude.
For anyone listening, go see Weapons so we can ruin it on the podcast and talk about spoilers. Because I'd love to talk about that movie, and I'd love to talk about why I gave it my rating and how you unpacked yours. And maybe we just start a series called Spoiler.
Oh.
Everyone vote on that. If you want a subcategory series called Spoilers, fucking let us know.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad idea.
You just do a pod where it's like talking about it, and if you've seen it, you can listen to it. If you haven't, I mean, we're really maybe carving out a proportion of our audience who
it could be like 20-minute episodes.
Yeah, very true, very true. I was also like on that last episode, I think I was really harsh around like doing superhero movies. I was sort of, I think I was
watching them or directing them, or like how many there are.
Actors doing it, because it was like I think I was sort of saying that the feeling in Hollywood of going like, you know, if you want to be a bona fide A grader, don't go into those ones, and it's like it's a bit of a hot take, you know. And I sort of listened back and I was like pretty harsh. Like if you're an up and coming actor, you know, and you want to be a bona fide actor, you know, how many opportunities are there to be in a Scorsese, a this, a that? You take what opportunities often come your way, you know. And if you 100% land
and
a top title Marvel or DC one, who's saying no? Like, if you're like, I want to be a legit actor or whatever, and somebody goes to you, I want you to be the next Superman, you're going, nah. Like,
I also think that like they tend to grab up and coming actors.
Yeah.
Like you even see what was happening with Gal Gadot at the time, whatever her name is. Fuck,
No,
I think
you
that's
got it right. I
Like
laughed.
she was up and coming at the time she did Wonder Woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she did Fast and the Furious. She did a few things, and then she
Same
landed
with
that
Tom
one.
Holland. He wasn't massive at the time.
But I mean, are you seeing Gal Gadot's like clips on Instagram? She gets dragged so much now. Somebody's made like a highlight reel of her worst bits.
I didn't mind the Wonder Woman.
No, I didn't mind her either. But her acting at times is very bland, like a plank of wood. Like she doesn't have a lot of inflection in what she says. She sort of plays the same person in a lot of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I also think that like they put so much of their budget towards their special effects.
Oh yeah,
and like the budgets of their films are all just CGI. That you can't be getting the Leonardo DiCaprios. You can't be spending $80 million on an actor.
Well, yeah, and then exactly.
Or however
you
much
probably
they
need to
charge.
have a budget more to then focus your money on your special effects.
I saw a couple of years ago that like some of these actors charge like $250 million for appearances and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like The Rock, I think charges $250. Where the fuck did he get the arrogance to start doing that? I wouldn't pay more than $10 million to have that guy in a movie.
I did actually just see he's recently done a movie where he cut weight significantly, played a boxer or a wrestler or something like that. He got like a 10-minute standing ovation at the end of it. I think it was done at a film festival or something. Like I feel like The Rock, yes, he is criticized a fair bit. I don't mind him so much because I think he's got some comedic chops behind him. But I mean, we've talked about it before in terms of the WWE, John Cena's, the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like Batista and Cena, I actually really like them. They don't only seem like good humans, but they're also good actors. And then you just see The Rock, and I don't know. I'm not sold.
Yeah, like
I'm not
I feel,
sold on it. I don't think
right.
he's the one that's drawing the crowd. So to be charging $250 million,
I mean, he does.
Is fucking insane.
I mean, he does draw. He does.
Does he?
He does.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I finished Silo during the week.
Yes.
Oh man,
Rebecca Ferguson. Yes.
Yeah, big fan. I had the last two episodes of that hanging over my head, and I was like, I've got it because they're hour episodes. You got to carve out a bit of time in an evening. You have to, And I sat there and I had 2 episodes to go. I got halfway through the second last episode. I was like, right, I'm fucking finishing this today. And
I'm just trying to remember how it ended.
No spoilers, but he'll give you a hint like, her on the hill, him in the tunnel at the end.
Yeah,
it was just such a good moment. And I was like,
That's
my
right,
God.
Yes. Yeah, that was good. Nice.
Also, I gave Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. I found time to give that a little walkthrough.
Yep.
A little ghost run of like scene 1, act 1.
Yep.
Not impressed.
Oh.
Not impressed.
Oh.
Looks like it was made in 2003.
Oh, no.
Just felt like I was playing a beta of Wolong. And like that is an honest reaction to it for someone that's played like 3 hours of it.
Yeah, fair.
Just doesn't look great. Not sold on the combat. But like, I mean, a lot of these Souls games start off like that. So I'll give it more of a chance. But first impressions, not glowing.
Okay. So was it playing Wu Chang what made you consider going back to Wu Kong and giving that another go?
Definitely.
Okay.
100%. I've been playing quite a bit of Wukong, and I think that's what's brought up. I'm not going to call it a re-review, and I'm not going to say that the evening gamer
it's a touch-up.
It's a touch-up. It's an amendment. You know, it's certainly like they made some updates. They've brought in some new stuff. It's looking pretty good, and I just want to give it the rating that it probably deserves. Because, it came in at like a 6.94 for us, and I think the time it came out, coming off games like Lies of P, replaying Sekiro, Elden Ring had their DLC coming out around a similar time. I think we held it to that regard.
We did.
And everyone reviews everything with some level of bias, and I just think that...
And I think, I listened back to the episode because I knew you were going to give it a touch-up, a fiddle, a little handy. And... The whole time you were talking, I was trying to come up with other ways to make it sexual innuendo. Nonetheless,
you did well.
I listened back to it.
Start,
we were very harsh. And I think the longer we've done this, and I feel like some days we sit down and record it, we start talking and we almost amp each other up for to hammer it.
Of course.
And like Wukong, I've seen it. I know they did their own version releases where they fixed a few elements to it. And I think listening to the recording, we were saying it's a game I might come back to at a later date. So I am happy that we are doing it justice.
I also think that it's a very particular kind of game. It is solely combat. There's not a huge amount of exploration. It's basically fight, win, upgrade, queue,
move on,
fight, win, upgrade, queue, next fight. So I think that it's very much like a it's not a game that you'd sit down and play for 10 hours. You know, there's just not enough to do.
Yeah.
The entertainment levels aren't through the roof with it, but I think we were also harsh. But they actually put out a pretty good product for what they were after.
Yeah, I think when we did review it, and obviously you're going to give us your new ratings in a moment, and we won't spend too much time on this because we've obviously got Doom: The Dark Ages we want to spend a fair bit of time on. But, I think there were parts of that review that were on the money, that it does great in some categories and falls off in others. And your summary just then of fight, upgrade, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
Like in some ways that is a nice system.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the story element was what was lacking in it. So I'm very curious to hear, having played a little bit more of it, hit me with your new results.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just the story of I think it's just the Chinese gods. Like we've been so hammered with the kind of the Japanese and maybe also the Norse mythology in a lot of
Greek,
different,
yep.
in a lot of different games recently. This is certainly one of the first that I've played where the story is, so solely centered around that Chinese, god. Mythological is the word I was looking for. So it's probably just not something you're over familiar with, but still, I'll go into the ratings now. So initially we had a 5 for storyline. I've upped it to a 7. It's not a storyline that really kind of flatters you. I think that the cadence they rolled it out in was a bit weird. Like we spoke at the beginning about him being, of equal caliber to these gods, and then you very much find yourself almost as a peasant. You got to rebuild, but that's what gaming's all about.
We did knock that a little bit, and we actually did talk about it the other day. The whole cliche where you get given the best abilities and they strip them from you, and you sort of
exactly. It's not one of my most loved tactics of rolling out a game. Feel mechanics was an 8.5. Surprisingly, I upped this to a 9. Like when I went back, I did some real rehashing about how I went about the kind of
combat,
and the flows, the combos rather, and how they kind of fit into the combat. And it actually, from a mechanical perspective, is such a beautiful game to play. The challenge and entertainment stayed at a 7. It's not a game I'd play for hours. When you've only got bosses to provide you with entertainment, there's only so many times you can do relatively a similar fight and enjoy it. And the challenge, I'm still not finding it that challenging.
Yeah.
Character development and build. The build is really nice. I liked what they did with the staffs. I like the abilities that you get. You've got multiple avenues in which you can spend those skill points. That went from a 7.2 to an 8. Sorry, I'm absolutely just pasting through this. Loot and extras was a 7. I've upped that to an 8.5. Like I actually really like some of the outfits you get. And, in a combat game like this that is so linear, what else can you do from a loot perspective? They gave you celestial potions to make. They gave you good upgrades that you found for your gourd. There were some really good skins and outfits, and the benefits of those kind of outfits were well felt, in the scenes after. So I upped that from a 7 to 8.5. It improves, drum roll, from a 6.94 to a 7.9. I think much more deserving of its, much more indicative rather. Like it's certainly not an S tier game. It's on the lower end of the A's, which I think is good because it graphically looks beautiful.
I think when we did originally score it and then we put it on the leaderboard, we had like Need for Speed above it, and I was even at the time I was like, that can't be right.
I think both of us were a bit like, I think it's the age old. They put themselves in this category of games that is pretty saturated at the moment, and a lot of like Neo Wiz did Lies of P so well, From Software with Elden Ring, and their DLC was so good, and it wanted almost its marketing put itself in that plethora of games, and so naturally we kind of scored it against them, but it was definitely better than a 6.94 for sure.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting in obviously being compared to the Elden Rings, the Lies of P, all those kind of games, having those boss battles, and it was a game where it kind of got rid of a lot of the sort of mobs that you have to go to get there, and it kind of just goes boss, like really heavy, which isn't bad. Because everybody always talks about how did you go with this boss? No one's talking about how did you go with the mob in this, you know what I mean?
Did you go off and find that secret area that had that secret? There's none of that.
Yeah.
Which is such a large part in Dark Souls. So I feel like I actually heard an opinion on Wukong the other day, which was that it wasn't a Dark Souls. And the more I've played it recently, the more I kind of agree with that. It's very much Sekiro. I think there's different ways to define Dark Souls games. The challenge is usually the most attractive kind of factor in these games. That they're very hard, they're very unforgiving, but Wukong is actually very forgiving. You don't drop anything when you die. All these types of things, there's actually not much alignment between Wukong.
Have you got to go back and collect anything if you die? Has it got that kind of mechanic to it?
No. You don't drop anything like that. So like the parallels between what I would define as a Dark Souls and Wukong are lacking in a lot of those really critical
core
areas,
tenets of it.
So I don't think they should have tried to compete in that place. Yeah. But for the game that it is, and probably the vision they had, pretty fun.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I mean, I'm glad we even increased the rating. A small part of me was like, we're going to re-review it. We're sort of splitting hairs on it a little bit, but it is now a much fairer representation. And hell, it's getting a sequel, Zhong,
which I actually, they're not going to make these game titles any easier for us.
You know what? They're calling it Wukong Zhongqi. I was going to say if they go from, Wu Chang, Wukong, Wulong, and they give it a Wudong, I'd be like, come on.
They should have the white people name. You know how it was like Karnas, Kanem Edit, and then Bully? They just make it easy for us. Didn't you have some updates on games that are... everything that's dropping?
Yeah, I did. I mean, we could cover it off now. So, like in the news at the moment, Helldivers has just got a new sort of either trailer or mention that it's going to go underground. You're going to go to sort of the alien worlds and kind of go, and it's sort of almost turning into that Deep Rock Galactic kind of vibe, I feel like, where you're clearing cave systems. And Helldivers on that topic, they did a Halo sort of mashup where you could play as like ODST kind of skins and stuff. And then they've also went cross-platform a little while back.
Yeah.
And like Helldivers, similar to No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky also just had another release where they've added building your own ships and you can let it travel and you can sit on the back barge and look out the back of it. And that game, what is that game now? 7-10 years old or something, and they're still doing it?
Not 10, but I think it's coming up to a bit. I think it's 2016, so it's coming up to.
I saw some clip on it that would explain with No Man's Sky, their core code, they're using sort of a new version or whatever for their next game, which is a bit more fantasy vibe, not sci-fi fantasy, but they're using what they're doing in that game to then apply it onto No Man's Sky of this sort of same structure building blocks, which is how they're able to roll out these kind of enhancements. And you think about,
which I love,
phenomenal. Like, you have, whether you like the game or not, you have to respect and like pay dividends and tip your cap to it, because how many of us have got those games that you love, but like a Wukong, if they didn't release updates and enhance it and fix it, how many games do we know that never do that? They never go back, they drop it, it bombs, they leave it, and it just fades into fucking nothingness.
It's already, it's in your disc set, it sits on the shelf unless you buy another physical copy. But I think that's the double-edged sword of cloud-based gaming now, is that it's good when they do things like this, but can also be bad for all the other things we've spoken about. Too early release, it's often cash grabbing and things like that.
Or the whole element of you don't actually own the game.
It's given me so much enjoyment. I still haven't paid a cent for it, and I know for a fact when they release their updates, I'm blanking on the word they use for them. It's not. I can't get raids out of my head, but that equivalent for No Man's Sky,
right?
I thought it was going to come to me. Let's just call it a campaign. When they drop a new campaign, which is essentially like a small little storyline that you play, I know that their player numbers jump into the millions. Yeah. So there's still a lot of people playing it. And that is, people are playing it for a reason.
Yeah. I just like the fact that, these gaming companies are not following the method of just going, it didn't work, so see you later, we'll move on to something else. And, wherever they're getting funding from, they're able to weather the drop in sales on a release and people not playing it, and then work the art form, and then grow the following.
Yeah, and I also think it's a big headliner for Microsoft, because when I think of what makes my Microsoft subscription worth it, it's games like No Man's Sky that have constant development, that have updates that I can play for free. And as long as I have that subscription, I can continue playing it for free. So I feel like they'd have a really good relationship with the platform as well. And I don't think that's not going anywhere. it'll go for as long as Apex. Like it's almost like an FPS. People just go back to it.
Yeah, I mean it's turning into that, and I think both No Man's Sky and Helldivers, we spoke about last week, sort of long form games. Like they're probably the two kind of almost pin-ups that are not fading away as much. I feel like Destiny's had their time in the sun.
Yeah, gone.
I mean, obviously all the MMORPGs continue to ride around. Marvel Rivals, that's obviously more of the ilk of a kind of Apexy kind of Clash Royale, whatever. But these ones, have a sort of, they're almost what would be the word for it? Like a genre in and of themselves.
Yeah,
it's tough to bracket them into other games.
Yeah, we spoke about it a couple of episodes ago, like long form gaming.
Yeah.
Where's long form gaming going? Why am I so rinse and repeat with the games? And yeah, granted, like long form games probably don't give us a lot of content to talk about on the podcast.
Well, I mean,
when they have big updates like this, for sure.
No Man's Sky seems to be rolling these out monthly.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Expeditions, that's what they call them. They release new expeditions. They had I think it was 5 last year.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's so good. That's so much gaming.
It's so great when you look at a roadmap and you are then excited for what the roadmap has.
Yeah.
Like this,
and it's on time and it delivers.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that killed me with Diablo 4, I was super excited for that. There was a few parts about Diablo 4 that didn't mesh with me, but they obviously did the battle, not the battle pass kind of system. And it's grindy. It's too grindy. I like putting skins and weapons and upgrades behind things that occur in the game and not just trying to continue to sort of fleece money out of you for cosmetic shit and, whatever.
Exactly. And I think what No Man's Sky have done as well is so much more effective than doing a DLC. Because sometimes I find the Overture DLC looks really great. I'm yet to properly sink my teeth into it. But I feel the same about Overture that I felt with the Remnant DLCs. It's kind of I don't know, my time playing this game has kind of passed. My investment in it isn't quite there.
What with Liza P? No.
Well, with kind of both of them, I'd say more with Remnant. It's I upgraded this character 18 months ago.
Yeah.
I got all this stuff 18 months ago. I knew the rings and the amulets 18 months ago. And to pick it up and play a DLC, it doesn't really grab you. Whereas No Man's Sky, you have a base. You've built a huge community area. You own different outlets on different planets.
Yeah.
You have all these different fast travel hubs. All your resources are stored somewhere that you've built. You've got a ship. It's really easy to step back into that game and be like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I did all this. The game didn't do it for me. I did it all.
Would you class No Man's Sky as an MMORPG? I feel like you would. It's because there is, you do interact with other players. No?
It's probably.
Yeah, fair. But I feel like with Remnant's sort of more of that, oh God, I'm trying to think of.
I was more just drawing parallel, between the difference between a DLC and how it grabs you in terms of going against an expedition rollout.
With it, yeah. So what else on the run sheet? So obviously Battlefield 6 has been a hell of a lot in the news. Very excited to see that come out, and we'll certainly give that a go. I saw something interesting on Blood of the Dawnwalker. I think we very briefly touched on that last week of some of the games that were sort of announced in Gamescom, and some of the stuff coming out about this one's quite exciting. So you play as a vampire, and each mission, so let's say you get a mission going, you have to get a certain sword from somebody or whatever. You have the option of, do you go during the daytime, or during the nighttime? If you go during the daytime, you interact through the whole thing as a human. If you go in the nighttime, you interact as a vampire and can murder your way through it, sneak around rooftops, etc. So it's a totally different vibe of the NPCs are around, what's happening in the environment, all that kind of stuff, which I really like that. That's
massive fan.
Yeah,
that's
just creative. It's really creative.
And I think you'll start to see more of it. I remember Zelda did it. They experimented with it on Nintendo 64. You'd go out during the day, you'd have a set of enemies. You went out during the night, and there'd be pose and ghosts and skeletons. So they experimented with it ages ago, decades ago. But I think also a game that did it really effectively, and granted it wasn't day and night, but was the Umbral Realm in Lords of the Fallen. Yes. At any point in time, you could go into the Umbral Realm, and there was new loot in the same area, because it's essentially a different realm. I think you'll start to see a lot of that in gaming, jumping between almost like parallel universes in the same game with the same storyline.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm on record in the past of criticizing games where it's like you replay it to sort of go down a different. I'm trying to think. You pick a different decision, you know, and the decision then has a splinter effect on the game.
You kind of spring off into a separate tangent.
Sort of, yeah. Like, you know, and sometimes they're not overly thought out, but it's sort of, you know, I feel like RoboCop, I was kind of a bit harsh on it for that kind of thing where it was sort of, you had to replay it to be able to sort of collect everything, you know, and this certainly does sound different, and I'm curious on it. So I sort of maybe will hold my interest until we get to it. The only other thing I was going to talk about is what's coming up soon, but I feel like let's go to your review next because I am very keen to hear your Doom Dark Ages review.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Doom the Dark Ages. Here's the review. You all know the developer, Bethesda. Came out very recently, 2025 release. This is actually set as a prequel. There's deep lore behind Doom Guy and Doom Slayer, and this is very much his transition from Doom Guy into the Doom Slayer and how he's being used as a tool. So let's start with the storyline. I actually thought the storyline was actually good. How it's communicated to the player was actually pretty poor, though. Like, this is almost like a depth to the lore that Elden Ring has. Like, you have to do your own reading. You have to really concentrate during the cutscenes to get it. But here's essentially what it is. They have the Doom Slayer kind of under their control. They have this thing connected to his suit, which is called a tether. And he's kind of helping the Sentinels and the Khan Makers fight the Hell's armies, which are led by Prince Ahazrak, I'm going to say, who wants to seize the heart which shields the realm, because Hell just wants to take over. That's all that, like, there's the motivations behind the enemies in this game is they just want destruction and just to take over, really. And the Khan Makers and the Sentinels are fighting that, and they use you, the Doom Slayer, to kind of help them do that. Now, in this game, you are really, really powerful, so powerful that the main antagonist, rather, this Prince Azarak guy, who's essentially Hell's leader and the Hell's army's leader, he just wants to avoid you. All the cutscenes you see of him talking to like his henchmen and like his little dweebs around him, he's like, let's not buck with that guy. Like, let's go around and do all this. So I liked that. You do have the kind of character presence of someone that is really powerful, which is what the Doom Slayer is meant to be. Like, you're meant to rip your way through these demons. Yeah. So I liked that. That's the storyline. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a prequel. It's probably well overdue. If you haven't played any of these games yet, my advice would be play Doom's Dark Ages first, and then go and play 1, and then go and play Eternal.
Okay.
That would be certainly how I'd do it. Field mechanics. I thought that this, for me, as someone that played the first game, and then someone that played Eternal and really, really loved it. And granted, look, I don't go back into the 90s of playing Dooms, but I certainly have played the contemporary versions of them. And I thought from a field mechanics perspective, it was a genuine letdown here, but also a really tough ask for developers. Like, the movement that you had in Eternal was all movement tech. Like, you could fly around the levels. You could fly around the maps. You had this shotgun which had like a tether on it and the tether set enemies on fire, and you could cover distance. And I felt like the movement tech in Doom Dark Ages was too much of a step back. They added a shield as well, which I kind of liked. Like, that is a part of his initial set, I suppose, if you will. But I found that it made it too time-based, and the evading element of this game was like mundane. Like, you're asking high-strung gamers to now time jumps and to time dodges, and like, that's just not what the Dooms have been about up until this point. And I just felt like they just didn't do that well because it was so far from the past two.
Okay.
That it just, I don't know, it just didn't, it's not almost like they weren't talking to each other, if that makes sense. So that was a miss for me. I thought the button mapping was also a little bit off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know how much you played of this, but you couldn't actually change the button mapping, which for me is one of my biggest grievances.
Cardinal sin.
Yeah, like, I shouldn't have to go and reset my entire Elite controller to set up the buttons in a way that function.
Yeah.
And they didn't function. Like, if you used the shield, which was LT,
Yeah.
and wanted to let go of your shield and shoot with RT, if you did that too quickly, you did this special move you had, which is where you blasted towards an enemy.
Oh, no.
And a lot of these enemies, their build, they have, obviously when the game senses you doing that, it cues like an ultimate ability from the enemy, which often got you killed. So like if you mistimed that, which was really hard to do just because you were really quick and smooth with it, you'd find yourself doing something like, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm doing that is because of the button mapping. And it was frustrating.
That is frustrating.
And so like I just think that those two things combined, it just didn't translate for me in this game. And I'd be keen to hear what other people think of that. Challenge and entertainment. I feel like in this game, you're allowed to make your own challenge. Doom has never shaken the old easy, medium, hard, nightmare kind of part of gaming. I feel like we left behind in the 2000s.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think so, man. Like, I just think that like gaming the way that it is, the challenge is what it is. And if you give the player enough resources and the skills to develop on the controller and the dexterity, you can get past it. And I just felt like, for me, I like to play these games on Nightmare, which is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because I like that challenge of Doom. And being a gamer that wanted to play on Nightmare, I either found myself between being bored or being frustrated.
Ooh,
and that came back to what I just spoke about, mechanics. So it's like the mechanics didn't allow me to be overly effective when it was pumped up to Nightmare. They also really went with certain enemies only being able to be killed a certain way. So like I'm talking like a certain gun with a certain blast.
Specific,
So like there was one enemy build, right, that had shields. Now what you had to do is you had to pull your ray gun out and shoot them.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Whilst their shields got hot.
Like the electricity one or
and
something.
then use the blast on that to kill them. There was no other way to kill them. And you had no grenades, nothing like that. And I just find like that destroys the creativity.
Well, because if you run out of ammo on that gun, then you're fucked, basically.
But it's also like you might be evading a bigger enemy that has a completely different way to kill them, and all of a sudden you turn a corner and you get just blasted by 10 shields.
Yep.
And like, you know, like how quick's your reaction time really? There's only one way to kill these guys. You're in the wrong space, wrong place, wrong time with the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just, these games are chaos. That's why I say it's highly strung to kind of get me to stick to a corridor of how I do things.
Yeah.
It just did not translate for me. I also think graphically the game was a step back for me.
Ooh.
Like it became a little bit one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I did like, however, that you had multiple objectives at once. They opened up the level.
They did. Yeah, there was sort of big areas.
There were kind of like bigger areas, few things to do. I enjoyed that, but the challenge with creativity and the trade-off it had with enjoyment, it just didn't sit well. And you kind of. Yeah, is what it is. Anyway, character development and build. The character development's okay. As I said, you're positioned as an absolute beast, which I absolutely loved. The enemy does a lot of avoiding you, but that's all it is. Like, it's okay. Like, he rebels at one point in time, but we know that, this is just a prequel setting it up. A lot of the upgrades are centered around weapon upgrades using golds and rubies, which are incredibly rare, but all the special abilities that you get from every collectible essentially just translates into your weapons. Yeah. They roll out the weapons at a good cadence. They always do, and they help when you get them. But they also introduce new enemy builds when you get those upgrades that specifically kill that enemy. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's always kind of like 1 + 1 = 2 in this game. And then with the mechanics, it was like 1 + 1 = 2.5 most of the time. I don't know. Yeah. Loot. I mean, fuck me. What loot? Like codexes that we've been collecting for 10 years.
Plush toys or whatever, yeah.
I've read about most of these demons before. I'm not going to read them again. There's toys littered about. Okay, I've been collecting them for the past 3 games. Yeah. The only enjoyable loot in this game were weapon skins. 80% of them for me were copy and pastes from Eternal. Yeah. And this is what I was saying. Eternal rated so highly for me. I think it was actually in our top 10 of the last decade. It was very close if it wasn't.
Yeah, you loved it, yeah.
And it's because it spearheaded a lot that I see in this game, and it did it more effectively. Yeah. This game, they either copied and pasted or worked, and the gamer's like, well, I've done this, or they tried something new and it didn't translate very well. Yeah. So like
This like, I know you're going to get to your summary, and I agree with just about everything you've raised there. But for me, like from an outsider perspective, having touched on the other Doom games and never quite being my cup of tea, Doom Dark Ages for me felt like an undercooked, rushed sequel for a cash grab. That they basically took the core code of Doom Eternal, they knew they had the following, and they were like, let's whack it back in the old time, we'll give them a shield, we'll do a little bit of and then release it, you know, and it wasn't a love letter, they didn't spend time on it, they didn't sort of creatively up the ante, you know, and it just sort of, it comes through, it shines through.
Yeah, and I also think that the enemy, not the enemies, but the antagonist that they presented in this game was just like off. It was hokey. Like he's basically just a red human. You know what I mean? And I think back to like how Elden Ring, like some of the bosses that you remember Rykard, the snake boss in Elden Ring, like the kind of presence around that character made that fight worth it. And just the antagonist in his game was just, it was just like it was like Devil Boy. You remember that movie, Devil Boy with the horns? Like that's who it was. And it's just like, I don't know, that's too hokey for me. Like, is it Devil Boy? Hellboy. That's like who it was for me. And like, I just think, I don't know, like have substance. You know what I mean? And keep that going from what you had from the first two games. It was all like bloody gothic, messy, you know, like I don't know, it just lost that a little bit.
I mean, if you're going to do Dark Ages, why try and do this weird hybrid where it's still futuristic? Like, you know, do it legit. You know, make it fucking Dark Ages where it's a shotgun that, you know, doesn't have a 15-round chamber and shoot, I don't know, a fucking laser or whatever it is. You know, make it actually that you're rolling around with a pistol, 6-chamber revolver.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of give it the style that if you're going to pitch it as that kind of, we're going back in time, not this weird future hybrid, whatever they did.
Such a good point, and I totally agree with you. And when I think of a franchise that did prequels so well, Halo. It did. Do you remember ODST?
Yeah.
Where they did that kind of, I think I think they went Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, and then we had, I think, Reach and 4 and then a few others. Yeah. But when ODST dropped, it was like that part of the war, which was a prequel where the humans are losing really early on. There's no chiefs yet. You're just orbital dropship troops.
Helldivers or whatever, yeah.
Soldiers with handguns, no shields, just health. And you really just had BRs and pistols, and it was a little bit stealth-based. A lot of the abilities were taken off you. They did that so well.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
I just feel like Doom the Dark Ages did it 50% and then tried to keep the other 50% from the other games that worked. And it just, for me, it was just this concoction of kind of entertaining, kind of fun. Doesn't really make sense to me. Storyline I'm here for. But this is nothing to write home about.
Yeah. Fair.
Ratings, let's do it.
I'm keen to hear these.
Storyline. Once I got through it enough, I understood how it flowed into the next games. I understood how it flows into the character development of Doom Guy, who, let's be honest, is the absolute pin-up boy for this franchise. Like, holds the entire game franchise on his shoulders.
Yeah, he's on the Mount Rushmore of like leading dudes.
Whilst I thought that the antagonist was a bit hokey, the story was pretty good and it fed well, so I gave it an 8.
They certainly gave a little bit more time and energy to the cutscenes in it, so you know, I give them points for trying, I guess. Yeah,
feel mechanics. I mean, I had a lot to say about this. 2 main points being that like the Doom games have never been really about timing and rebounding and jumping and to avoid. And okay, fine, credit for trying something new, but then do it 100% of the way.
Yeah.
Like, don't then try and box me into being almost subjected to the button mapping in order to stay alive. I gave it a 6. It just does not flow well that well. Challenge and entertainment. This is a game I'd play when MJ was getting ready or when I wasn't on dinner duty and I had 20 to 30 minutes.
Fair.
It wasn't a game I sat down and was like, I can't wait to get to the next level. It was like, actually, I've got 20 minutes here before I go out or before
do a quick
the
little
sport
bit,
starts or the footy starts. I'm going to play one level of Doom quickly.
Fair.
7. Character development and build. Build's good. Character development, yeah, fine. He's a boss. But nothing groundbreaking. Flat 7. Loot and extras, straight up rinse and repeat. 5.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that that's a rating that's on the generous side because I've kind of, I mean, 6.6.
Yeah, yeah, damn. I was 6.6. Yeah,
It's not below 5 because there's genuine effort. It is a prequel. I just don't think for a character that's taking a step back, for a gamer that's trying to enjoy that story, it just wasn't a home run.
fair.
And I think that they could have done a lot better. And I think if with a bit more play testing and maybe a bit more community feedback, I think it could have been a good game. Just don't think they did it all that well. So 6.6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if sort of the community feedback or play testing, because I feel like that's always, at the back end of the development cycle, that like this was almost from jump, the creative choices of the direction they wanted to go in. Just, it was a little bit undercooked for me.
Yeah, totally agree.
Have you done the Wolfenstein games?
I haven't, no.
I think it's worth a go for you. I think because they're of a similar kind of Doom style where it's sort of first-person shooting, but obviously you're killing Nazis, and it's this sort of exaggerated thing where I think the Nazis won. They've invaded America. You play as this guy.
Yeah, we've spoken about this. Yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth a go because the ones that they released, not of the old ones like a Doom back in the day, kind of where it's that really fucking weird graphic, hard, sharp angles. But the more recent ones are really, really good. And then Amazon, I think, has picked it up for a TV show. Ooh. So keep an eye out for that.
Oh, how do you feel about that? Because we know how this sometimes, they translate sometimes.
Well, I'm on record as saying, gaming is now an area that they will pull from of good stories, and obviously they're starting with these top enders, the Wolfensteins, the Halos, the Witches, the ones that have the most people who've played it because it's so easy to guarantee viewership because people go, I love that game, I will watch that movie or that TV show. But when they start diving deeper and going to the next levels down. So I'm picturing they do think about any Returnal. You turn that into a fucking movie. Or, there's Dante's Inferno. There's, so many games. Prey, you turn that into a bloody movie or a game. There's so many of these ones where the stories are actually super creative. BioShock. Where the fuck is a BioShock movie or a game? Or a TV show, I should say.
Was BioShock the small little almost meerkat dude that you were?
Oh, mate. No, BioShock, it's the one where you go underwater and you got the little daddies and the chicks and everybody's injecting themselves with genetic energy.
I never played that.
Oh, mate. Because they did BioShock and then BioShock 2 and then BioShock Infinity. I think if it's Infinity, I don't know, whatever. Trilogy, just the first one, if you go back and play it now, because it is of a much sort of 2000-y kind of thing, it will be a little bit of an overcoming of the graphics of it, but the story in that, I remember that it's one of those games where you remember going down the water the very first time and
it just sticks with you.
It just, it hits, it lands.
Love that. Yeah, look, I don't mind it. Just do it right. I don't know. There are some things I wouldn't like to see turned into a TV show. I think they'll destroy Elden Ring.
Unless they're doing Elden Ring.
Unless they did it like they did Lord of the Rings. It's got to be gothic. It's got to be dark. It can't be fucking hokey. If you do it that way, I'm here for it.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Let me get this right. So there's a guy called Alex Garland is his name. And he's the guy who's doing the Elden Ring movie. He played the video game, loved it. This guy, he's on record of he's replayed it about 1 million times kind of vibe.
It's easy to do.
He knows his Elden Ring. And he apparently went to see the director, the guy who did Elden Ring, and had pages of a script of notes of if you're going to have somebody do it, and they've played the game, that's all I ask. Because then you can try and match the tone. So Alex Garland, some of his other things, he did Ex Machina, I always pronounce that
Ex
wrong.
Machina?
Yeah, I think he directed that one. He's known for screenwriting 28 Days Later, Dread.
Really?
He's
okay.
bona fide. He's a good person to have behind the camera for that movie.
How good. Okay, I'm here for it then.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm back it in. It'll be good. Okay, so what else is coming up this week? So Hollow Knight. I haven't played the OG Hollow Knight.
Neither have
I'll see if I can get the misses onto it. But it's a very really good game. And then Hell Is Us is the other one. Both coming out on September 4th. So really recent ones. Hell Is Us, I think, is a good one you should try out. I feel like it's up your alley.
Let's do it.
At the moment, I'm doing, as I've sort of mentioned last week, Dragon Age Veilguard. Actually doing it on hard to sort of increase the difficulty to make it a bit more enjoyable, because I was sort of like melting my way through the game. And I was like, it's a bit... But I'm actually really enjoying it. Like, it's holding me.
Nice.
I'm keen to play Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. That one came out last week and is...
We had a comment... so I'm not going to remember your name, but we had a comment on like episode 10 or something. Someone
it was a while back,
saying to play Metal Gear. So we should do that shout out.
It's a whole one that we haven't really, neither of us I think have ever dipped our toe into. I did one of the Metal Gear Solids, but never finished it, and it's worthy of the time. The Precinct is a game I want to check out. This came out...
Wasn't that on Gamescom?
No, it wasn't Gamescom. So it came out like a little while ago, and it's sort of this top-down cop game where you sort of just drive around in the car, and it's kind of that side-scrolly top, very high camera angle. And it looks really cool. Like I've had it on my list for a little bit, and then of course Mafia: The Old Country, the sort of my games coming up. What are you playing at the moment? What's your eyes telling you next want to get into?
Well, I was thinking...
And if you say you're giving Elden Ring another run, I'm going to flip the mic.
No. Look, obviously I'm enjoying Wukong, but they'll wrap that up pretty quickly. The old second run through. I've almost done like a ghost run of it to get through it again. Just enjoying that. I don't know. There's so much for me to do. I don't know if I'm going to go down the Wu Chang. I don't know if it's worth my time.
The Fallen Feathers.
Yeah, so I think that was something I had queued. That's out now. I've obviously got Overture, but I was thinking where do I go next? I really want to get through Returnal, but that we've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
Pretty busy with RuneScape these days, but I also think that I need to staying on the whole Last of Us. Do I go back and do a classic that I missed out because I didn't have a PS again?
Right.
Do I play the God of Wars? Do I maybe something like that? So I don't know, but I'll probably look into help.
I mean, because we haven't reviewed God of War. Like we obviously were talking about, like I've played them. We could do a good ep on those, and then of course we also said we've got to put Zelda actually into the leaderboard, because there's sort of two gaming franchises that we haven't put in yet, just because of the games we've played, and they were sort of before we started the pod. So
yeah, so true.
There's a reason why they are not there for any of our listeners going, what the fuck, why are we missing some of the best titles? But
yeah, I'd love to rip into this new No Man's Sky, which I'll get into. But what do you say? Hell of Us? Hells of Us?
Hell is Us.
Hell is Us.
Hell is Us.
I'll get into that.
If you want to do Metal Gear Solid, you could give that one a roll, because I know you've never been into those ones, and it would be interested to hear your opinion on it. But yeah, we'll divide and conquer.
That's
as
it.
Per usual.
If you have any recommendations, hit us up.
Yeah, and we're also
at theeveninggamer.com.au.
And we're on YouTube now, Instagram. We're trying to get TikTok rolling. We'll get there eventually. Feel free to reach out with us, any games that you'd like us to play. And we're attempting to hone in on a new competition.
We are.
I won't say anything more than that, but, this time around, it should be a pretty good one. So keep an ear out.
So much good coming. Gaming's in a great spot. 2025 has been a delight.
Gaming is in a good fucking spot.
It really is. And you, dear listener, we are very happy to have you here. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Most importantly... He's smiling at me already. I know I'm going to say my bit and he's not going to say his. Most importantly, don't be an NPC.
Keep leveling the fuck up, everybody.
Get those levels in. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the Evening Gamer. Oh, my God.